Hello and welcome to the Blessed by Angels podcast. It's your girl Jen, here to share some more messages from beyond. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about one of my absolute favorite topics that I have been learning so much about as of lately, and that is how expectations are the robber of joy. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Blessed by Angels podcast. My name is Jen Gilbreth. Ever since I was a little girl, I have felt deeply connected to the angelic realm. Over the years, I have dedicated my time and energy towards delivering messages from beyond. Yes, that's right. I talk to dead people, although I don't necessarily consider them dead. In many ways, they are much more alive than us in this physical realm. On this podcast, I will be channeling messages from Spirit. Whether you tune in each week for the new messages or feel like picking a message at random, this podcast is designed for Spirit to lead you to the messages for you here and now. These messages have changed the way I view and play in life. I hope that these messages can do the same for you. Expectations are the robber of all joy. Wow, what does that even mean? Over the past few weeks, I have, honestly, a couple months, I have been talking to my husband a lot about expectations. And it's been shown to me in the energetic realm and in the spirit realm and even in the physical realm how when we live with expectations, we are cutting off the space for unconditional love. So diving deeper into that, I have had so many loved ones who have passed on acknowledge that they lived life and they placed expectations on other people. How they needed to show up, what they needed to wear when they came over, the conversations that they could have. And they were very much so controlled. And over the time, I have found so many loved ones who want to apologize for the expectations that were placed upon somebody. Because if you have to live in an expectation of who somebody wants you to be or how they want you to show up, you actually lose your own power. You lose your own sense of freedom. You lose your own awareness to be you. And more than anything in the whole world, we are being called to be us, be authentic in who we are. And if we are constantly in the space of comparison or people aren't living up to your boundaries, well, where did your expectations come from? And why are you so attached to them? And this can show up with our loved ones. Let's say, this is such a common thought is when someone passes away, it's like, oh no, this person is going to know all the things about me that I didn't want them to know. And maybe I don't even want to know about myself. And they know all those things. They know about us, but they look at us in a way of understanding that this is a human experience. And humanity at times is dense. It is a game of remembrance. And there are times where we make decisions empowered, and there are times that we make decisions out of fear, out of pain, out of worry. But on the other side, they are here to support us, and they want us to find our best self. They want us to be the most brilliant, bright, loving, kind, compassionate person that we want to be, full of freedom, full of expression, full of creation. And if we have too many expectations upon ourselves as well, we are losing the aspect of growth. And this is one thing that I have, it's come in over and over with sessions as well, is the power of growth. And how often do we cheer on little children for growing, for speaking, for crawling, for walking, for dancing? Every stepping stone is celebrated. And then as we get older and as we become more into the adult realm, all of a sudden we stop celebrating growth. We stop celebrating growth for ourselves, but also for those that we love. And it's because we have expectations about how we need to be or how other people need to be that we rob them and we rob ourselves of growth. And they go hand in hand together. And I know during the holiday season, it can be easy to hold on to expectations. And I myself have that where I'm like, okay, I'm going to let go. I'm not going to get as stressed out. I'm not going to make it mean stuff, right? But that's a space of growth. And let's think about relationships, right? If you have a spouse, a best friend, a child, and if you are in a space of disappointment, I want you to just consider what expectation is at the source of disappointment. What expectation are you holding that is bringing in the fruits of disappointment? Because if we have expectations on others, we will be disappointed all the time. And also, if we believe that we come here to experience life, to learn lessons, that we have our own choice and agency in this human world, well, if we are putting someone in an expectation or a box of how they need to show up, we're actually robbing them of their choice and agency. And who is it and why is it that we can do that, but we can't let others do that? Or if we think that we come here to experience that and yet it shows up, like that doesn't even make any sense. So I think that this is a beautiful reminder that when we release our expectations of how something has to show up, who has to be there, how it has to look, we can open up the space for ultimate expression. And, I have some beautiful friends who I want to just acknowledge in this, because I have such a beautiful friend, and she has always been a source of come as you are, and it's always been a safe space for me. She always is in the space of just acceptance. Where you're at is enough. She loves to know what people are learning about and where they're at and what they're doing. Even when it comes to women and friendships, there's so much backbiting and bitterness and heaviness, and sometimes when you leave places hanging out with people, you just don't feel fulfilled, and it's almost like there's cause for more anxiety and stress. And what I love about her thoughts is she's all about being authentic. And if something doesn't work, talk about it. If you don't want to hang out, just say, hey, I'm not feeling up to it. And there's no expectation to have to show up where it's like, oh, I have to do this thing. It's an obligation. And she's given me this space to experience what friendships can look like without strings attached. In the essence of come as you are, love it, be a part of it, honor it. And if it doesn't feel right for you, honor that as well. And that, to me, is the ultimate space of friendships that don't have to live through expectation. And it's just come as you are. If you want to bring a gift for somebody, great. If you don't, no stress. If you want to bring something, great. If not, no stress. It's more of a flow of give and take. And it's been such a rewarding thing that I want to implement in other friendships, in other relationships, that instead of tearing somebody down, we cheer them on. We say, I'm in your corner. What can I help you with? What do you need? How can I support you? Instead of, you're doing this wrong. And that's the thing is, if we all come here to live life, to experience lessons, our lessons are going to be different. The lessons that you chose are not going to be the same lessons that your children choose, or that your spouse chooses, or that your partner chooses, or that your best friends choose. And if we are constantly in the space of making them wrong, we are not letting them be who their soul came here to be. And in a sense, we start playing the role of God. You need to be this and that and this. That's a form of black magic. Dare I say it? I just did. Having expectations on how someone else has to show up consistently is black magic. Yes, we can have rules and guidance, right? It's not like a free reign for all, especially in partnerships. If you have foundations and things that matter to both of you, you make an oath and honor those parts. But there are going to be times where you have to check back in and say, "Hey, what are these foundational pieces that we both feel like are very important to us? Are we honoring that? And if not, what else can we do to honor that further? Or what new action steps, what new foundations feel right for us here and now?" Because who you were 5 years ago should not be the same person that you are today. And who you are in the next 5 years shouldn't be the same person you are today either. We are constantly growing. The only constant in life is change. Empowerment comes through growth. Growth is only experienced when expectations are released. When I go back to expectations as the robber of joy, are you happy in your life? Do you feel joyful about your choices? Do you wake up feeling inspired? Do you wake up being like, today is the day I'm going to conquer and I'm going to live life full-heartedly? That's a big question because there are days that I don't feel that way. There are months that I don't feel that way. But when I look back, it is because I have an expectation on myself or on somebody else that is disappointing me. And you get to say what disappoints you and what doesn't. And there are going to be times where you have to sit in disappointment. And guess what? It's totally fine to do that. There are going to be times where these things come up and it's a reflection for you, for who you want to be and what part of yourself is being called to look at. Because if we could love unconditionally and we could love in a space of pure growth, we would cheer others on instead of holding them back. Hey, you can't change, you can't grow, your beliefs can't change. Well, why not? It doesn't mean they're going to be that way forever, but like part of the journey is not the destination. The journey is the growth and the experience of the movement, of the life lived. When you look back, you're not going to think, oh, I was perfect at this and this and this. In fact, you're going to be like, man, did I learn these lessons? Did I make myself wrong? Did I lose power? Did I stop taking care of the things that matter most? And honestly, it's surprising how many people want to apologize on the other side for the box that they forced people to live in, and also the joy that they have watching their loved ones step outside of the box. Step outside of what they've been pressed and molded and I don't want to say manipulated because that feels like such a toxic word, but at the same time, what you've been grown to be patterned to live life in. And are those patterns, those ways of being, those thoughts serving you? If they are, wonderful. And if they're not, it's time to fucking change. Are you going to change? Are you going to step up? That's what it comes down to. We are responsible for our own life. Only us. We get to say how we show up. But we also are being called to give freedom and to give a little bit more compassion for how we show up and how others show up. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed when you release expectation. And it's also good to look at, where am I holding expectations? Which expectations are good to hold on to? And which ones are sour old milk that is going to spoil your cereal? It doesn't have to be hard or heavy or bad or wrong. It's just an invitation to look within. Having that been said, our loved ones are here to cheer us on and help us walk the path. They want us to live our life in a way that when we look at our life review, we are proud of our choices, knowing that they are not here to judge us, but to honor our soul's journeys. So I hope that this brings understanding, and I hope it wasn't too harsh, just as bold in what wants to come forward. So I honor and cherish all that Spirit has to bring in. I would love to end by an invitation for anyone who is feeling called to dive deeper into their spiritual gifts, to really come into a healthier relationship with life, and with your own spirit. So if that calls to you, please, please, please reach out. Starting January, I want to start offering some one-on-one calls, some group stuff, all about diving deeper into our heart center, and bringing in healing and empowerment to step in to being the person that our soul is calling us to. So I would love for you to join if that calls. I want to thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your time and your energy. Blessings. Thank you for tuning in to the Blessed by Angels podcast. It is such an honor to deliver these messages from beyond. If you want to connect deeper to your angelic realm and the support team that you have, I have a plethora of resources on my website at blessedbyangels.org. And of course, I'll leave the link in the show notes. You are connected to the divine. Having divine connection is an innate ability that each and every one of us have. Before we came here, we were spirit. And after we leave this realm, we are introduced back into the spirit world. So having spirit-to-spirit conversations and knowings and understandings are innately and infinitely who you truly are. When we step into this body, we tend to forget. We are not separated from the divine. There is just a lack of remembrance. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast, and I look forward to delivering more messages from beyond.